We in it.
We are in it, y'all. Okay.
We in it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Podcast. And today's special guest is a good friend of mine. We used to work together, and I'll let him introduce himself for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Ben. Hi, everyone. I haven't done this before. But yeah, no, I'm Ben. Ben Islar. I currently am in IT and also in acting, and yeah, I don't know. What do you guys want? Like age, location, like what's
You don't gotta give all that. Just a little bit about yourself, like you used to work.
Yeah, a little bit about me. Yeah, I'm originally from the East Coast. I moved during the pandemic. In plans to get more done with acting. I just saw the opportunity and I took it. I was working for Apple for a bit, and then I moved to Chicago, continued to work for Apple, and then a little bit more recently, this year, moved on to a different job. So I work for an IT company that has a client that's like that's like not. So I work for a company called FTTS, and they have a client that is called Core, who does like insurance or whatever. So I'm in-house IT for this insurance company, which is great because it's a full-time job that also allows me to pursue acting in a different way that I didn't think that a full-time job would allow me to do.
So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Like find whatever you're doing to provide to do whatever you're passionate about outside of your main job.
Exactly.
Cool, guys. So we got some good topics we're gonna talk about today. Since we both used to work at Apple, and we are no longer there, we can get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, God, we're not there anymore. So I still have like the PTSD of like being like, can we say Apple?
Same. But that's why I was like, when I was coming up with this topic, I was like, bro, look, we didn't sign no NDA.
Right.
I didn't sign.
We not wearing the shirts
says
no
I
more.
can't. Look,
What they gonna do? Fire us?
You want me to mail your shirts back? I still have like 30 shirts.
Yeah, I
30 blue. I have like in total.
I donated them. I donated
back to Apple.
No,
or just
there was a woman. So when I moved to this neighborhood, I got on the Nextdoor app, which I had heard of only recently. And there was a woman who like takes like used clothes and stuff, and I had them all in a trash bag already from when I was moving.
Well, I mean, like it's a good shirt if you can figure out how to heat the Apple symbol off of it.
I think
great shirt.
I think I kept two of them, of the long sleeves.
I have
for like under clothes because I like the color for like under like clothes.
Yeah, I still have both my jackets.
Yeah, I think I kept.
I have both jackets. I have all my
blue shirts. I kept one jacket.
I cut the sleeves off of one of them because I was like, I'm gonna wear this as a gym shirt. Like, even with the Apple logo on it. But like, I used to work at. I'm gonna start slinging them around the gym. Like, you want an Apple shirt?
Yeah.
I got them
slinging them. That's funny.
I got a plug.
No, I thought about keeping them. In case I wanted to do sketches, like at the store, I was like, I don't need all of these. Like they're taking up space. I don't need all these shirts to do sketches.
It's just in a bin in my closet. Like when I pull it out, it's like you gotta push it down to pull it out. All the red shirts.
That's great.
I used to work at the Northbrook store first. That's where I came from as a seasonal hire. And when we had the red shirts, they literally gave me a whole box.
That's right.
Of like 10 plus red shirts.
That's how you do it. Yeah.
And then when we got
that's great.
Then we got to Michigan Avenue, we didn't even wear them. When it came to like, I wasn't there long enough to even wear the red shirts. Even though I would have asked for new ones anyway, but still.
Yeah, I always carry it from because I came from Pennsylvania to Chicago.
Like,
but every time that they were giving, I was getting new shirts.
Need new shirts.
Because two was not enough.
No, if we work in 5 days a week, we need a new shirt for every day.
You don't think
I'm not doing laundry that frequently.
Yeah, you bugging.
And it's like y'all have enough money, y'all go for it. Give me extra shirts.
Yeah, 2 is not enough.
I'm trying to talk about 2, but okay, y'all. So we're gonna get into it. So the first topic, because we'll just get off topic, right?
Yeah, and people are not gonna know. People are gonna be like, I think I'm following, but I don't work.
I don't work it out, so I'm not really following.
We keep a general life.
Yeah. So the first topic is, since we both worked at Apple and we both are doing things that we are both passionate about, is when did you know that you wanted to leave Apple? Like, was that something that came up? Like when you it was in the back of your mind, but you just never knew how, or like when was that moment of like, I'm eventually gonna not be here?
You know? Yeah, I think a lot of. So first of all, like I think what's really difficult to say when you're working for any company is that like you're there for the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think part of what was really cool about being at Apple is like for the most part, at least at face value, the people who hired you understood that you had passions outside of the company.
And the good thing about like Apple is like they are that creative
yeah,
company, so
they're even looking for that.
Right, they understand that you're not here just to be at Apple. Like,
then the catch-22 of it is that it's also like it's your job, so it's also to them should be your first priority.
Exactly.
So because I'll never forget my first interview, like the guy who interviewed me, like let me know, he was like, hey, like we just want to let you know, like we kind of expect to be the first like thing that comes
in your life.
Right. So it's a little bit of it kind of knocks up against itself because they're like, we want to hire people who do other stuff.
Right.
Like that's a big part because they create a big creative community. But then when it's like, hey, like I have a show that I'm doing, blah, blah, blah.
Like,
I need this amount of time off. They're like, you got to get this time approved. You got to blah, blah, blah. So because it's still retail, they still got to make money. They have to have personnel there to sell.
Yeah.
So I never was like actively planning to leave, but the goal was always like I looked at
the end goal was
if in 10 years I'm still here, I have to reevaluate how even if in 5 years I'm still here, I have to reevaluate how I'm going to do this. So my goal was always to be able to pay back my student loans with just acting, and until that was able to happen, I was just going to work where I was able to get paid the best and where I didn't feel awful.
Right.
So that's where I landed with Apple, and then I went from specialist to creative.
Yeah.
Which was closer.
Like, I was gonna say because I mean working as a creative, you're pretty much you are putting on a performance every day, so
it was closer to what I would have wanted to do working for any company, right? Like it's still there's a aspect of entertainment that goes along with it, which was the fun that I could find in the job,
make it unique.
But it was entertainment for the sake of selling products.
Even though you weren't a specialist, you still were we have to give this performance, we have to give all the facts that are needed for this because at the end of the day we want them to walk away with going and buying the whatever I'm talking
to see
about.
the value in the thing that was selling. And I had passion around like stuff like GarageBand and Procreate, like I had passion around that, so it was very easy for me to be like, heck yeah, look at this very cool thing and all the cool stuff that you can do on it. And it was like, and now, do a session about notes and the iPhone and stuff like that where it's like, sure, I will. But the acting came in because I had to find the same.
You had to find ways to keep it
to be good at my
exciting
job.
all around.
But so I think what was an easy sell for me to get where I am now, so right now I'm still at the same place, right? And I've named my company now, so like I don't want them to see this and be like, what does he mean? He's not passionate about this? I'm not ambitious in anything that's not acting. And they know that about me. The guy who hired me knew me before. He worked at my old store. So I'm going to do a good job because I want to keep my job and continue to get paid.
It's not in the back of your mind.
But this is you're not going to be in this for another
for another 5.
And if I do this for 5 years passes at this company, I'm still there. I have to figure out
how we're going to make it
exactly.
work.
So that's where I'm at now. So when they offered me, I was at Apple for 4 years and was always part-time, which is not enough to live on, not in a city. Even getting more hours, it just wasn't enough to live on. And we kept losing creatives who were full-time. They weren't opening up full-time positions. So I was a very easy sell when this company came to me and was like, hey, we're going to offer you salary. We're going to offer you this much money. And I was like, it would be financially responsible to not take.
Because you can take care of
do it. Exactly. And so that's how I ended up landing where I am now.
That was wondering because I'm like, all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You because I never knew that side of you, and I've always known you as like Ben the creative. So it's like you give a performance every single day. So when you said you were leaving, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I would never see you doing nothing else outside of
Yeah.
like, being a creative. Like, but that's just because like we don't have enough time working at Apple to get to know people.
Right.
Like for what they want to do outside of
Yeah.
work. And honestly, everyone at Apple who is like on the more creative side always says they want to do stuff outside
There's
of work,
always
but
something
then you
else.
never see,
Right.
you never hear about what that is. You know,
Which is wild because I think a lot of that became harder to do after the pandemic. I don't know. How long did you work for?
I was only at Apple for like almost 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
like, I
during,
started
after
right
COVID.
after COVID.
So before COVID, Apple used to do these. First of all, they used to be paid,
Yeah.
but they used to at least have one event. I think it was a quarter, but it might have been a year, where it was a paid event.
It was the one. Was it the one event that we did where we went to that
No.
hotel for breakfast and we talked?
No,
about...
because that was about Apple stuff. No, they used to pay you to like have a night of fun. So at my old building, for example, it was just a night and they paid for the whole thing. It was a restaurant. And everybody came out. We had drinks later that night. You know, you buy them, but the food was all catered and paid for.
Yeah.
And it was a paid like 2-hour event
to,
where
like,
you came.
come get together.
So it was much easier to get a lot of people there
And
to
then
talk to people,
right,
and get to know them.
people outside of.
Yeah, because even if people don't want to be social or come out or whatever,
Yeah.
it's a paid opportunity.
Right, you're still gonna come in.
You're getting money and it's free food. So, but we, at least our store, we weren't doing anything like that. The one event that we did have, where it was like a fun event, it was we had the karaoke thing that we did.
I didn't go to that.
It was incredibly optional, and also like it wasn't paid. Like, you know what I mean? But it was a fun night at the store where people got to show off their talents, and it was still fun to do and cool to see other people. But if you're not in your, if people aren't in your circle, you probably don't see them that much.
Not at all.
So that was the big thing, and honestly, you talked about me like being creative, going from one place where it did feel like the closest thing to performing that I could do for retail. That was part of the hard part about leaving was
because you were in your element.
Yeah, like what if I go to this other job that pays better but I hate it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's like it's a toss up. Like, which one would I rather do? More money?
And as difficult as difficult as working in any retail place can be, one thing that Apple's really good at is finding the right people to work there.
Exactly.
I had the best coworkers.
I outside of hating really the retail environment, I really only came to work because of the coworkers.
Yeah, that's what
because I got to have conversations with y'all every single day.
Yeah,
you got to
have
fun. It made it fun to come to work. You know,
when I moved to Chicago, I moved doing a remote job. So I worked at an Apple store in Pennsylvania, and then I moved to Chicago, and I was working from home. Yeah. And the hardest part about working from home was not having coworkers.
You're not having that interaction.
Yeah, and I'm an extroverted introvert. So like I value my own time with myself, but I also need to be around people to recharge. Exactly. So doing the work was not satisfying enough without the people.
Because you're just sitting at
home.
I'm
on the phone, and
especially if,
with people's
problems. We all know people who work from home. It's like, I'm sitting in my boxers.
Yeah.
And like either no shirt on or a hoodie. Like,
and it's the same thing every day. I hop out of bed.
Every day I hop out of bed and I just go straight to work. You can be lazy if you want to.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Which should be like the dream.
Exactly.
But my whole thing was that, it was work. And for me, the work wasn't gratifying or fun. So when I finally got hired in store, because I was still working for my Pennsylvania store at home,
right?
Yeah. When I finally got hired at the store here, it was like a dream come true.
Because you started at the new flagship location.
Yes.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I never even saw the old one.
I've never even walked inside the old one. And I've came down to the city for years, and I've never even stepped inside the old Apple.
Yeah, never saw the old one. Never even saw the old one because I haven't been in Chicago that long. So I think they just opened up the new flagship. They've been open for maybe less than a year before I hopped in there, and so that was really, really exciting because it was a beautiful store, but also because I was like, oh yes,
God, no longer at home. Like,
oh God, I get to see people,
interaction.
Yes, yeah. So that was honestly, man, that was the part of it that I really loved so much. But part of my journey in going somewhere else was that, okay, like now I've lived in Chicago for a certain amount of time. I've made the friends who will be my friends, and I'm not afraid that I'm going to lose them if I leave from this building. Yeah. The people who are closest to me, I can still reach out to,
right?
And hang out with, and I'm not afraid of losing that. What I'm afraid of is being miserable at work because
yeah,
maybe the people there aren't so great, or maybe they're older, or maybe
This isn't a completely 360 environment from where you came from.
So it was a risk. That was the biggest risk for me. I knew that the money would be good, but I was like, is it worth it if I don't enjoy it? Luckily, I love what I do.
Exactly, and even if you didn't, like, with the money being good, that gives stability just to be able to, like, okay, I will put some money extra aside because I eventually don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
So I have a cushion.
No, that's exactly it. Me and my girl were just moving into a new place.
Yeah.
She was starting her own business.
Right.
So there was a lot of things where I was like, this will be, again, like, it would be financially irresponsible to do this, to not do this, and this will be better for me in the long run, even if I have to put acting aside for a little bit to get my finances in order, to get us in a comfortable place.
Pursue it, you'll have the foundation to do so.
Yeah, exactly. And I can, for the sad times, I can use the money to buy video games and comics and that make me happy. So,
exactly. There's always an ebb and flow of everything. But yeah, dude. Honestly, like, I knew from when I interviewed for the second time for full time, not even increase of pay, just to be full time, to work 20 extra hours a week. When I didn't get it for like the third time of interviewing, I was like, I'm not.
It's time to look at something else.
Time to look for something else.
You're not the only one.
Because
there's a lot of people who left for the exact same reason.
Because like, why? Like, you're investing. First of all, you already have me there for already X amount of hours to begin with. Part-time, but I'm pushing close to full-time hours, but you're keeping me at that last cusp so you don't have to pay me full-time benefits. No increase of pay, but you want me to, like, still have to push through like damn near three interviews just to get like 20 extra hours.
It's a lot.
It's like, it's not worth that.
No.
So that was the breaking point for me. I just was like, look, I can't. I'm sorry.
No, the pay's good enough to be able to do it while looking for other stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the pay's good enough where it's like, no, I wouldn't want to work for, like, a different retail company or a different phone company or whatever, but it's not good enough to, like, survive off of, because it's still based on your hours.
Exactly.
It's the best part-time pay that you can get. It is
the best part-time pay,
but it's still part-time pay, and it's still not enough.
It's not salary, it's...
It's still not enough, and it's not even their fault that it's not enough. No, honestly,
because they can't control that. It's
they can't control the economy and the the country and how they're so even so far, like, even with the company itself, like they're obviously, like, they have enough money to be doing more, but they're also using the money to do other things for other stuff, which I get for the world. I get it. I think they have constant conversations about how they can do better, and that I will have them for.
It may have,
but it's the individual. It's the individual. The company as a whole has these grand ideas,
exactly.
But it's like how your, like, managers treat you,
exactly.
how your like store
treats
how the people
you,
who come into your store.
Exactly.
That's what makes sense.
That's what makes them pay, and like the hours and the situations not be so tolerable after a certain amount of time. So
especially to not be making enough to afford rent, bro. I was struggling. Like, there were times, and I don't know. I'm grateful to God. I'm lucky or fortunate or blessed, but there were times where I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, if this month's gonna cut it. Like, I really don't. Yeah. And that was, hustling for hours, like having side gigs, like all that kind of stuff. And I was always at that store, and yet somehow not making enough.
And then for me, it's like, I didn't even live in the city. I lived in the suburbs.
Yeah, I lived.
So it's like,
I lived over I live on the border. I live off of the Howard stop when I was, but before my rent was $1,600 split in half. That's, like, beautiful for a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. In unit laundry. Yeah. That's a really
good price.
Why can I afford this? Amazing. Are you kidding? And I was at work almost. It felt like almost every day, all day. It felt like
all day.
And somehow,
like, for me, it's like I was coming from the suburbs. Like, I was driving an hour.
I'm working full time. I was
every day, and that's part time.
And that's part time.
And the realization was when I realized I was paying them to come to work.
Right.
Like, that's when the gas prices were at the all-time high, with being close to $5. I was filling up my car twice a week to put gas in that, and then paying to park downtown every day. I mean, granted, thank God it was like $6 a day, but $6 a day adds up.
No, there should be.
It should be free.
They should continue to work on.
They should.
I mean, any city place, location, especially at this company, bro.
Should have been free.
They should
have
figure
found
out
a way to make it
to
free.
pay for it, because honestly,
to have a pass of some sort.
I mean, it's free labor, and this goes for any company.
Yeah.
Getting to work is free, labor.
Still,
Like if it's an hour commute, 2 hour, if it's a 30-minute commute, that's 30 minutes that you should be adding to my paycheck, because I'm commuting to get to y'all.
Get to you.
This is part of work.
This is right. I'm getting to work.
Yeah.
Work has started.
So the
if I'm
least
late,
you can do,
it's like
the least you can do
is
pay for where I'm going to park.
Exactly, and not give us just a discount code. That
they don't even have
$6.
they don't have discount codes. They took that away, by the way. I don't know who did it, whether it was the garage, where it was, but they don't have discount codes anymore. So if you drive, that's like you're spending like $10 to be at work. I don't know.
That makes sense because
low key, I tried to use it the other day.
Ever since I left Apple, I would still use it.
Yeah, me too. But
100%.
I put it in the other day. And it didn't work.
Too.
And then I asked everybody.
You remember JC?
JC?
JC. He used to work there before us, and then he started there, and then he went to Northbrook, and now he's at Northbrook now. He's a good friend of mine, but he works at Apple as well.
Okay.
But like, I was trying to use the code the other day and it wasn't working, and then he sent me a text because I always tell him, hey, if you're going to park in the city, like, let me know, I'll give you the code to get the discount. And he was like, hey, like, what's the code again? And I told it to him, and he was like, it's not working. And I was like, I guess someone there, either the garage or Apple might have taken it away, because I remember it used to be welcome back to drop it from $10 to $8. Yeah. And then it was healthcare that would drop it to $6. Yeah. And I was like, I remember. I'm like, we don't even work in healthcare. It was the perfect setup. It was the perfect setup.
But see, where I work now, and this just goes to show you, like, hey, where I'm at work now, it's a parking garage connected to the building. You could pay, obviously, to get in, but there's also, a monthly pass that you can get. They pay for my monthly pass because I have to be at that building every day.
You have to be there.
So, and I drive.
Exactly.
So they were like, all right, we'll pay for the monthly pass. So I now have like a free place to park in the city.
That's what I'm saying. But that's how it should be. If you're working for these corporates and these companies, and I have to come to work for you in the building, the least you could do is pay for my parking. Or it's like but it was so many good things for people who didn't have cars. Like wage works, for transit and stuff. But it's like if you have a car, it's like you're just F.
Right. Yeah, and even because there was a way to translate the wage.
There was a way to try and translate it, and you could like get that money back and stuff.
Yeah,
but it just was too confusing. Yeah. It was a lot.
There's a lot,
definitely. And people ask me to this day, like, "Are you like? Would you ever go back?" I'm like, "Hell no." Like absolutely not. Not by choice, exactly. And even if it was by choice, if I really had to, I still would rather figure it out doing other things
for sure
than go back.
No, for sure. I'd take what I had and hustle as much as I could, and then because I feel like as long as you don't leave on like awful terms,
you can always go back.
You work there once, you know the culture, you can go back.
You know how to finesse the way to get back in. And it's like,
even if it's not at the one that you were at before,
you can always go to a different location.
Yeah, I mean my original roommate when I first worked here, when I first moved here, she used to work at GameStop back at the store that she was at, and I think she used to be like a manager or something. So when we moved here, like she hadn't been working at GameStop for a minute, but she moved here and she was able to get a job at a GameStop, not in a managerial position, but she was like, I know how the GameStop works, and that's GameStop. You know what I mean? Like we can do it. If you can do it, I can get a seasonal.
Look, I feel like if you can interview to get into Apple, you can interview to get in anywhere.
Truly, you know their statistic. They say that it is statistically harder to get into Harvard than it is to get into Apple. That's insane.
That's what I'm saying. They said it's easier. I think.
Yeah, easier
to get into Harvard than it is to get a job at Apple.
Which is insane.
It's insane because you have to go through like 3 different interviews.
Yeah, you know how hard getting into college was?
That's what I'm saying.
School, bro?
I have to get into college. It's easier for me to get into college.
You mean to tell me, like, I should have gone to Harvard.
I mean, right, at that point, can you send me to Harvard right now?
Yeah.
Like,
nah, but
honestly, like, another thing was, like, the mental culture, like, working at Apple. Like, I don't know about you, like, or how you felt about, like, the mental health culture working at Apple, but like for me, like that was when like my mental health was like getting to an all-time like low.
Yeah, a lot of people have that experience, unfortunately, and that's one of those things where I'm always like, oh no, I'm nervous to say like the name, but it's again like we're past it at this point, but that unfortunately that's a lot of people's experience in the multitude of stores that they have, not just at the one that we work at.
A lot of different stores.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from like. So it was a little different for me, right? Obviously, like I said, I thrive off of people being around, but I also have it is very easy for me to like have a work-life balance. Well, not have one, but of the mindset of it, splitting the two.
Right.
When I left that building, like I couldn't tell you about my day. Like
Exactly.
I don't know really what happened there. I'm ready to do literally anything else.
Yeah.
And so, but I know that's me as an individual. Like when lockdown started initially, for a lot of people it was a nightmare because of their some people were like, for example, there was a woman I met recently. Lockdown started for her. She was like had just broken up with her boyfriend who she lived with, so she had to go through lockdown with this person
with that person.
That's insanity, bro. For me, bro, I was working for Apple. They were paying still.
Obviously paying to work from home.
Yeah, so I, was home, my parents' house, no bills, nothing like that.
Exactly.
I finished The Witcher 3. You know how difficult that is? It's a big game. I had like 100% The Witcher 3 with all the DLCs and all that. And when I hopped on like the, connection meetings with the people at the store, I was like, I played The Witcher all day. And they were like, fantastic, good. Glad you're doing something to help your
Like
so it was truly, especially in the beginning, it was a blessing for me, bro. I saved up that money, bought a TV.
I love the pandemic.
Yeah, bro.
I hated the fact that people had.
I liked lockdown.
I liked
the pandemic.
Lockdown, not the pandemic.
That was
like the fact that all the riots and the break-ins and things that happened.
People getting sick and being worried about your older family members.
But lockdown. Look, I traveled during lockdown. Like, I traveled, I went to California, I went to Vegas right before the pandemic even touched foot in the U.S. Like, right when I came back off the plane, a week later, COVID.
Yeah, you got lucky. See, I was almost in Dallas during the lockdown, and which means I wouldn't have been able to
drive back home somehow.
Yeah, that would have been awful.
Yeah.
That would have been awful. I don't know what I would have done in that situation. But I say all that to say, like, so the things that I were dealing with, like when I left the building, it was very easy to shrug off. But I know that's not the case for everyone because I, would have conversations with a lot of people and on how it was taking a toll on their mental health. And I think a big part of that had to do with, first of all, customers are awful. I'm sorry, like
at
anywhere,
location, customers are awful.
They were terrible. In general, it's just. People want what they want, and they don't.
When
really
they can't
have
get it, they don't have any sympathy.
Yeah, no sympathy or compassion if you don't also work in a place. Exactly. So, like in general, like people are bad. So there's that, right, which is to be expected, and then there's the way to handle that, and I think that human beings in general are flawed and imperfect. So a lot of them don't really know how to handle other people's situations, and I think. In general, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but in general, leadership as a whole in all of the stores have a hard time balancing like the individual over the needs of the company. Because I think when you become most people, there's a lot of people who do a good job at
it,
and a lot of time I see them moving to other stores or having to be put in other blah blah blah. But there are a few people that I can name on like my hands who are much more concerned about the individual because they came from being
they worked their way up,
being as opposed to being hired from the outside.
Exactly, and that's another
thing
like that.
Big difference.
I hated that they were so in-house for like wanting to like let people maneuver to different stores, but when it came to the bigger positions, they would hire someone who doesn't know anything about Apple, and they would come to do a management leadership role. It's like
that is an insane.
Makes no sense because it's like they don't know nothing about the company.
That's an insane practice to me. You mean to tell me that y'all interviewed all the people at the store already, and you decided none of them were fit?
Someone, right, you interviewed all the candidates who are here.
Can't be true.
But then you chose to, I don't give a fuck about
Can't be true.
We're going to hire
and I know that
person off the street.
And a big part of it, also happened over COVID, to be fair. A big part of it was there was a lot of internal hiring that would happen. And then, I guess, in the idea of being more inclusive and diverse, they
Yeah.
decided for all of it to always be open
Diverse
to everyone.
open to everyone, yeah.
But I think
However-
that there should have been enough people who had strong cases who work at your store to be able
Yeah.
to get positions.
Exactly.
That should be why it's harder to get positions. at
That
Apple.
should be why.
Not
Not
because
because
they're
there's
so
so many
selective.
people applying
Yeah.
that they want to let it be open for everyone, so
Right.
it's fair game.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the
But
day,
it should
you
be
choose
difficult.
someone.
Yeah.
But then you choose someone who
To work
doesn't
way
even
out.
work at Apple at the end of the day. You know.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it, like a lot of the toll on people's mental
Yeah.
health had to do with
With
the
that.
weight of the job
Mhm.
and then them not being supported
No.
by the people who are
Management.
there to support them.
Exactly.
And instead of them being like, hey, look at all of these healthcare options that we have for
Exactly.
you. You get,
It's like
talk to a therapist for free, talk to blah,
that
blah,
only
blah.
does so much. Like that only goes so far.
Yeah.
It's like, but then it's like I have to go outside my store to get help with stuff inside the store.
Stuff
You know,
inside
it's
the store,
like-
exactly. And at the end of the day, like, if I need to take time for, my mental health, it's
Right.
good that most of the time they'll allow you to do it, but they allow you to do it on their time.
Exactly.
You have this amount of time
Gotta
that's
schedule
allotted.
it
Yeah.
and
You gotta
apply.
figure out how you getting paid.
If it's not,
You
if you're
gotta-
not full time,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was.
It should be easier to
It
access,
should be a lot
I
easier
think.
to ask for that.
And I hope that, I hope
In
that there
the
are
future,
people who are
maybe.
working on that.
Right, that are
honestly.
advocating for that because I feel like
I will say, right before I left,
Yeah.
they just switched over the policies for like school, right?
Mhm.
So how before you would get reimbursed for paying
Mhm.
for classes,
Yeah, now they do it up front.
they do it up front,
I
which
was
is
so mad that I
Yeah,
did not
bro.
stay long enough for that. I was so
tell me why.
upset.
Tell me, bro. I would have been in somebody's culinary class immediately.
Look, I
I
would've
would have been
been
learning animation, whatever it is.
In some creative
Bro.
design.
Anything. I did not like school because I had to go to a general arts school
Yeah.
to study an art.
Yeah.
I went to school where I had to have an English class and
All
the
these other
blah, blah, blah,
prerequisites that
math,
don't make any sense for
nothing
just
to do
being
with what I'm
creative.
gonna do, bro. If I could have
Had Apple
paid to
For
go
like
to a specialist school.
a specialist school up front, and now I have to figure out
To
how
be
to
like,
pay for it.
yeah,
and
they
then
have
submit my
chefs at Apple
receipt.
Park. You know what I mean?
Right.
Come
I
on.
and I'm so mad because like I heard about that stuff before I got ready to leave, and like I was like contemplating. So I'm like, ooh, like I could just stay, suck it up, get this education, and then dip. But that was just like, you know what?
It's a commitment. Though.
It is a
They
commitment.
Make sure
and
that
I-
you're still there.
They
You
make
have
sure
to
that you're
finish your
still gonna finish
term.
everything, and then you have
Yeah.
to work there probably for a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Mentally, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I'll just figure it out. And you wanna know what? I'm so mad because I recently went to California too. I went out to San Jose,
Mhm.
which is 15 minutes away from Cupertino.
Mm.
And I went to the Apple Park, like the employee, like the not the employee store, but the store, the Apple store right outside Apple Park.
Uh-huh.
Tell me why I'm like so mad because like right when I went there, like a few days before that, they had sent me my letter
Mm.
for me to be like you're
Right.
like you're.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, if y'all would have waited like a couple more days, I could have went inside Apple Park. I
Oh,
have my
man.
ID. I could have just all you have to do is just show your ID at the front, they'll and like tell them what store you're coming from, then they'll put you in the system.
And you don't think it would have worked?
I didn't want to risk it.
You didn't wanna risk
and,
it.
like, be like,
I mean, the worst that could happen.
I mean,
is
the
they
worst I
say
could
no.
tell you was no.
Yeah.
But I just was like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not trying to have to do this like this. I'm at the headquarters. This is too big of a like.
Right.
this is
It'd be
too
different
big
if
of
you were
a-
going to another store. Because if I went to
Right.
another store and I was like, "Hey, I work at blah blah blah,"
I would have definitely flashed my
then I think that
ID.
would have been enough. Like even
Exactly.
because sometimes like
And I told them even when I
Sometimes-
was in the store because I bought a shirt from the store. And they're
Mhm.
like, where'd you come
Yeah.
from? I was like, oh, I'm visiting from Chicago. I'm at the flagship store like downtown. And
Mhm.
like, damn, I just didn't think about that. I could have got my discount. I could have just showed them my ID and got a discount.
Come on
Instead,
now.
I had to pay full price for that.
Come on now.
For that Apple shirt. And that was definitely a good 45, like 35, $40 for that Apple shirt.
it's a lot of money
Well, it's like
for a shirt.
it definitely was at
I
least
get it, though.
$40, but
Yeah.
it was cool. It's all black, and on the back it says Apple Park with the zip
Yeah.
with the zip code on there and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
But-
cool. I give him that.
Yeah, but I mean, all that to say, like, yeah, bro, like it's not all sunshines and rainbows
No.
at Apple, and I feel kind of bad for the people at Apple who are caught up in that, like, brainwash, like
Yeah.
system of like everything is great, and they don't see the. Like
Yeah.
the truth beneath like what things really are, because then it's like then you're there forever and you're like, oh my god, this is the greatest job I've ever had, and like
Yeah, I mean, for some people, that's they have a goal to work for Apple.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
it'd be very difficult for at some point a CEO position to be open to someone who used to work in the store, but it's not impossible.
Exactly.
And for some people are truly happy doing it. That's where they belong, and we need those people because otherwise, who's going to work in
who's going to do it?
But I think there's two types of people. Obviously, there's a person who like really wants to be there and this is their dream job and now they're there and they're happy.
Who are there just because they have to.
They got to be there and it's hard. It's harder when that part's not like recognized.
Exactly.
Like I think that's where the big part comes into play, where it's like, okay, no, this isn't my dream job.
And I think like for creatives and stuff, and for people who have just like a higher calling to do more than what like they're doing, than what their job is providing, and just like or working for yourself or acting and stuff like that, until like you actually dive into it and start doing it and know like it's gonna be the same at every job. You're gonna feel the same way at every job because you're not doing what you're like supposed to.
And it's scary to step out there.
It is.
It's scary to take especially to take a risk. If it's a risk, like that's, risky. That's the whole point.
Exactly.
But I think a big part of it, some people have to do it safely. My roommate was like, she left one job before having another one to leave another because she was unhappy. And I was like, I can't tell her she was unhappy at that place. I can't tell her to continue to go in a place that you're unhappy until you are. But I can be like, okay, well, keep in mind, we have bills to pay. And I'm not going to suffer because you don't have collective bills to pay. And then, she landed on her feet and she found another thing. And then eventually, when it was too much for her, she moved out. And she was like, I'll cover these last bills, but I know that I won't be able to afford to live here much longer. So she left the city. So I understood that because I was like, great, that's compassion for another person. But so I won't knock anyone who's like, nah, it's too risky to start something. But like, if you can make moves towards doing what you love safely, then that's what I would start to look into. How can I get as far as I can until I have to take a risk?
Exactly.
Because if somebody called me, if they were looking for a flash and I got the opportunity to even audition, but I had to fly to California and my job was like, hey, I don't know if I'm going.
You're going anyway.
I'm going.
100%.
And then I'll come back and figure it out.
Because that's a situation where it's like you'll never know.
Yeah.
And that's a
risk.
The opportunity
is greater.
The opportunity is greater by going and coming
back
home and figuring it out than saying no. And then never having the opportunity to find
if I didn't make it, then
you're at least known where you can get another audition to do something.
Or at the very least, like, I know that I'm not going to make it if I don't go.
Exactly.
Like, I'm never going to, nobody's going to call and just offer it to me. I'm not big.
You got so, but I also ultimately feel like it gets to a certain point, like, in life where it's like, you have to, like, initiate that step out and take that leap. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. Like, it's not going to come to you, and you just have to like you have to take that risk, and very few people have enough courage to do that.
Which, like, again, it's scary.
It is very scary.
But very few people have had something land in their lap, and usually that is because of something that you are born into, whether it's looks, whether it's family status, whether it's the connections that they like,
or just,
and that is so incredibly rare to not have to work for what you end up getting that you want. Some people get stuff that they didn't have to work for and they don't necessarily want it. And I'm like, I'll take it. You know what I mean? All day.
If you don't want it, like, can you adopt me? Switch?
Yeah, we're not that fortunate. So it's always going to take work to get somewhere else.
Anything.
But again, like, it's the steps that you can take
are important.
Yeah.
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 And that's what we gotta do every day. You know? Like, and look like you're doing great. Like, with your the Checkers commercial I saw was absolutely amazing. I will never get over the day I saw that. I was like, dude, like, I don't even like Checkers, but this man
That's
like
so
made
funny
me
to
want to
me.
go to Checkers.
That's so funny to me, and that's like the best. Honestly, that's the best response that I could ever. Because we don't really have Checkers or
No.
Rallies that much.
I mean, I have a few Checkers out by me and the birds.
Oh,
but,
yeah?
like, it's even like they're still very
Yeah.
scattered. There's not a lot of them left.
I'm
you know?
from Maryland initially, and
Yeah.
there were like plenty out there. But what's really funny, my connection to Checkers, really funny about that is that in college there was one,
Yeah.
and I went to college in New Jersey. There was one
Yeah.
in like a driving distance from
Right.
us, and it was open late. So we
you
would
always
go
were there.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was either Taco Bell or Checkers,
Yeah.
and we would drive out there. We'd get some, I introduced my friends to it.
Checkers,
My friends didn't
yeah.
know about this.
Right, bro,
And so I
Checkers,
introduced
like-
them to that, and then, we'd go late at night, blah, 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 whatever. And so what's really funny is that when I got the commercial, after I, recorded everything, and I had to go into the booth to record voiceover stuff, I sent a picture of, me up on the screen with, the logo to the friend of mine in the booth, because I was like, you'll never believe what I'm doing for right now.
Like, never.
But, what's funny is that, I haven't reaped the benefits of it really here as much, because if I didn't post it on Instagram, people here wouldn't see it. This isn't the market for it. But my grandmother in Florida,
back
and,
home,
all of my friends
in
in
the
Florida.
southern states.
Yeah, in all the
East
family
Coast,
members that my parents' family,
that's when
they
it really
all, text my
benefits.
parents and I think I saw a bit on TV. And honestly, I do it because it's fun to do in the moment, but what's so great about film over theater for me is is the ability for these people who will never see me in a play to be able to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of Ben, I saw your son, blah, blah, blah. And my parents, oh my God, they're so proud. And that's great. If I don't have to do anything else,
I've done this.
I've done this. That's great. And I'll just ride the high off of my parents being proud of the commercial.
Exactly.
Now, granted,
until something else.
Yeah, but granted, my soul's not really fulfilled unless I'm acting, so I gotta do more acting.
Right.
But
that at least opens the door of okay, he's.
Yeah, we'll let that sit for now. You know what I mean? We'll let that sit. My parents can be.
The door about what's next.
Yeah, exactly.
That builds that excitement of I can't wait to see what he does next.
Each commercial I've done, because I've done a lot. I feel like now in Chicago, I've done more commercials than I have plays or film even or TV spots. Each one that I've done has been a gradual, I did a Great Wolf Lodge commercial that popped up on YouTube for some people, and a couple people in Chicago was like, look, I saw you in there. Was this you? That's really crazy.
Do some YouTube search and find it.
That one's, some of them are on YouTube, some of them not. So that one's on YouTube. Then I did a commercial for Markham, which was a whole spot. I'm talking in it, blah, blah, blah. People saw that, again, as an ad on YouTube. Some people saw it on TV. My parents saw it on TV, which is crazy because I'm I've never seen a Markham commercial a day in my life. It's insane that all these people that know me have seen it. So I was like, that's crazy. That's also on YouTube, easy to find. Then it was the Cheezer commercial. That was probably the biggest one because it was on I did it while I was still at Apple. In fact, actually, I did it. So I went to an audition. No, it was when I did Drunk Shakespeare. I went to the Drunk Shakespeare audition while doing core for Apple. So I was leading. Me and Sam were leading core.
Cool.
Our group was there. We broke for lunch. I was like, great. I'm going to leave. And I ran to the spot, which was it was walkable from the store. Did the audition, came back. I hadn't eaten, but I came back, hopped right into leading core. That was insane. But then I got it, so it was
so then it worked out, then you got it.
But I remember I took off for the Cheez-It commercial. I did that for 2 days, 2-3 days was filming it. It came out so fast, but it was a Snapchat ad, and then it was on YouTube, and some people saw it late night TV. But it was, again, a few people saw it, they hit me up, and then over time, people just kept texting me. Was are you going to see the commercial? That one's not on YouTube, which is funny because I never really got a chance to see it. This one, skyrocketed. This one, my family friends were seeing it. Blah, blah, blah. All these people were seeing it. And my dad still texting me. This thing came out months ago now. And my parents are still texting me hey, this is what this person sent me, blah, blah, blah. And so when people ask, a lot of people ask, do you prefer theater or film? I'm I love them both equally.
Right, so
and
it's whatever opportunity, this is now.
Now I have a reason to be able to, because usually I'll say thing about film is my kids will never see the plays I was in. They'll be able to see movies or my parents, blah, blah, blah. But now I literally have examples
of like your
you know,
work and
yeah,
and stuff, and just even opportunities too that could lead to literally anything.
Yeah. If anything, like I can build a reel of just commercial
all
work
the commercials
to
that
be
you've
like
done
to be able to
submit
send
for
to
like a
someone.
portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, like they're creating a new DC universe. It's never too late for me to become the Flash.
be...
That's my dream role. So like, if people are listening to this at some point and they're like, "Oh wow, like this," and then like, just know, like, if I have there's no way that James Gunn is not looking for like the most famous people to play these. But if there was like any opportunity that they were like looking for new faces, and I needed to, everything that I do right now is to put together in a reel so I can become the Flash.
I'm submitting it.
Yeah. And maybe I won't be Barry Allen, maybe I won't be the Flash that they have now, but there's a Wally West, and Wally West is black. Just imagine, bro. Come on.
Just imagine like from like this. Today.
We're looking.
If that were
people
to
look back on
from
this
today,
this is
I'm
the
like, we
day
spoke
that. Yeah.
Like today, or even like if like DC Comics, like if they were to do like a DC like cartoon movie for Flash,
and they wanted me to do
were like
voiceover?
Animated into it, or even just a voiceover.
Good enough.
Right, good enough for me, because you'll hear my voice forever.
And I get to be like I am.
And you are that. You embody that. You are Flash.
Yeah.
Like,
and so that's a lofty, it's a big goal. It's a lofty
anything
goal,
is possible.
It's not impossible.
It's not. Nothing is impossible.
And that's exactly where, like, that circles perfectly back around. Like, that's exactly where we're kind of at. And again, it's easier to chat about it and to be kind of dreamy about it. But the thing is, like, someone's doing it.
Yeah.
Someone while we talk is hustling,
already doing it. They're hustling.
They've moved to LA. They've been doing stuff in that circuit. They've been to get their way through to meet everything working up to a moment. Man, my favorite little stories are like Zendaya.
Love her.
On
Shake It Up, Chicago.
Listen, I love
gorgeous.
my girlfriend.
She is
to death.
However, look.
If Tom and Zendaya broke up and Zendaya was on my porch in the rain,
I'm letting you inside, okay? Okay, but the
no, I'm playing. I love my girlfriend. But I love that woman. But she in Euphoria she's doing that scene. They had that scene that she, I think, got nominated for the Emmy for, won the Emmy for, in the diner with the other actor whose name I know, but I can't currently think of.
Zendaya in Euphoria is one of the best.
She's incredible, right?
One of the best acting performances she's ever done so far. So
she's sitting and she's doing this scene with this actor, and it turns out that when she was younger, so one thing about Zendaya is that she grew up in
the
LA. Well, she grew up in Los Angeles.
She was Shaking Up Chicago.
And her mom worked at a theater out there, one of the Shakespeare theaters out there. Okay. And as a kid, she saw this man perform. I think it was like King Lear or like Othello. It was something. And they like met when she was like a little girl.
Yeah.
And she was like, she remembered this performance. And now, all these years later, she's doing a scene with him for an HBO Max show. Like, insane. It's
just crazy how life comes around full circle.
And that's the thing. Like, I think about that kind of stuff all the time because that's the kind of stuff that, like, Tom Holland.
Right.
Always, like, this kid interviews as a kid on Broadway when they were like, if you wanted to, what superhero would you want to be if you could play? And he said Spider-Man. This kid has always wanted to be, and now he can look back and be like,
and now he's the new face of Spider-Man
and doing and killing it, man. He's so great at it. So honestly, like, it's someone's doing it. Some kid, like, they're not any more special.
No.
Than anybody else who has this dream.
They're just doing it.
They persevered. They're good at what they do, and they got that far. And so, I know that I'm good enough to do it. It's just a matter of getting in front of.
It's a matter of getting in front of the right people. It's not about what you know. It's about what
you know. But I would never get there if I stopped auditioning.
No,
because
you'll never get there if
now.
you just conform to like not going. But back to like the whole like Zendaya thing. Like when I tell you Lizzo is like my like Zendaya to me. Like when I tell you Lizzo, I love that lady. That is my. She doesn't know what we are.
She doesn't know.
She has a boyfriend. She's damn near married, but she don't know that like I'm like in the middle of the equation. Okay, like it's you, him, and then there's me. Okay,
get yourself.
I'm getting ready to like
just one conversation with Lizzo, and it's in
I
there. You in there?
I don't care. Like I don't care if I even like I'm going to her concert on Wednesday. This is completely off topic, guys, but like that's the whole point of the podcast. I don't really care. Y'all gonna listen or not, okay?
Yeah,
but,
we'll decide whether it needs to be edited in or
that's
not.
what I'm saying. Like, but I'm going to see her on Wednesday. So the first time I saw her, I saw her tour. This would be my second time seeing her special tour. So she came to Chicago like months ago. And I was with my ex at the time, so I bought the tickets while we were still together. And I was like, you know, like we're still gonna go to the concert together because like I'm not that kind of person.
I've had
like,
to do that.
We were on cordial, like cool terms. Like we weren't like I didn't, you know, there was no animosity. Like we're gonna go have a good time regardless. I don't really care. But I wanted to be closer, and she didn't. So we were up in the bleeds, like watching this concert, and it was a great time. But I felt like it was more or less like her experience. Like, you know, she was enjoying it, and I felt like I was just like there. You know, I didn't feel like it didn't really give me that like wow, like I'm seeing Lizzo, right? You know, so the universe worked it out. She announced like a few weeks after the tour was done that she was coming back to Chicago in selected cities to do another tour of the same special tour, like to do another performance of it. And Chicago's one of those cities, and I was like, you're coming back for me. You're coming back for me? You're coming back for me. So for my birthday, I bought pit seats.
Nice.
So I'm seeing her on Wednesday, and I'll be up against the stage. Right? Like, I'm gonna camp out like an hour early, like, and I'm like beyond excited for that because I'm just like,
that's right.
Like, sweat on me. But it's the fact that like we covered the like what do you like see yourself in the future part without even introducing the question, because we talked about like,
that's right.
We talked about DC, we talked about
that's right.
Like
bro. And honestly, just the opportunity to have my mom be like, oh yeah, my son's like in this movie and it's like in theaters.
Exactly.
Like that's like
amazing.
the ultimate dream. But also like financially, because that's the thing. I could be happy just acting. I don't have to be like rich or famous.
Right.
But the rest of it allows for a lot of other opportunities. It allows for me to be able to like pay off my parents' house, to be able to buy my mom like the car she's always wanted, and also like, you know, have this sense of pride that like to be able to like show my teachers that no, I wasn't good at Spanish, but look at the other stuff I did.
When you told me I wasn't,
you know what I mean? I can show off a little bit.
I
can show off a little bit in case you didn't believe in me, and for the people who did believe in me, to show them that I really have worked the belief.
I was about what you saw with me.
I got it. So
there,
honestly, that's really more. It's more of a pride thing, less of a status thing. I could care less about all that. I've seen glimmers of fame. I was a little popular on TikTok for a bit. I hated that. That was awful.
I hated
No, truly, that was awful. So I died it down a little bit. And I was like, okay, great. Like, this is not even really fame, and I already am like not really equipped to handle the little bit of this that it is. So honestly, God may keep me from that. But I can't say that I would be happier in anything else than to be up in that room with a green screen in a flash suit, sweating and being miserable.
We are calling
pretending
this
that
out.
I'm really doing it.
We are calling this out. Flash, bro.
Like, I mean, honestly, that or by the time, because I feel like the X-Men are like so far down the lane, like, and for a while my goal was to become an established enough actor to be able to get in the room and audition for X-Men, to just be a mutant. I just want to be a mutant. I don't have to be a big one. I just want to be
a
part
main
of the
character.
And that's the other, like, on the Marvel side. But you see where my head's at. Like, I'm trying to be in a Marvel movie or a DC movie just to say that I've done it, just to put myself on the same tier to say, yep, I'm as good as Robert Downey Jr., as Benedict Cumberbatch.
That man, Robert Downey Jr., like...
Yeah.
Iconic.
These people are, as Chadwick Boseman, you know, Michael B. Jordan. Like, I'm good enough to be in the movies with them. And then I'll go do some other weird projects like Daniel Radcliffe or like Elizabeth Olsen even is doing. She's in a Marvel movie, and then she's also does everything else she does is like weird, real acting. Like, she is in like the thick of it, bro. Yes.
Like, the dark web of acting.
Same thing with Tom Holland stuff. The Apple TV stuff that he's been doing. Like, that boy been acting. And then he's like, I gotta pay some bills. And I love Uncharted, so I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna be another Uncharted movie.
But that's the thing, like, again, that's another thing. That was his
Yeah.
dream. That's his favorite video game. That's
Exactly.
a role that he would love to play, and he did it.
Manifesting, just
So-
speaking it out like he's been in,
Yeah.
you know.
So that would be, honestly, like, that is the goal, to pay back my bills from acting exclusively. And we'll see if I ever get there. But that's, if we're talking about success or being happy, like, just to be able to say, I paid off my student loans, or I'm paying my
Doing
student
something
loans,
that I
and my
love,
job is
you know?
only acting.
Exactly.
Which there's a friend of mine now who has been booking musicals back to back to back. God, I'm so proud of him.
Right.
But I also feel so bad because I'm so busy, I feel like.
That you haven't
I haven't been able to see all his stuff.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad because I'm like, I'm going to go. Like, send me info.
And then you can't.
But if I make it to some, I'm like, all right, you know. But yeah, man, every time that this dude closes a show, he's like, hey, I'm opening it. And I'm like, that's incredible.
Ambition.
That's
that is,
incredible.
like,
and it's not, you know, it's
not-
getting paid like slave wages, but
Still,
he's
like,
acting,
you're
man.
still doing what you love.
Yeah, he's
and
making it
you're
work.
making it work, and you're building your network.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
that's truly, like, this man, I'm not sure that there's not going to be a performer in Chicago. This man does not know, because it's the other thing about the acting community in
It's
Chicago,
real
it's very
tight-knit,
close-knit.
right?
Yeah, once you're in it, you're in it.
because it's not that big in Chicago, so
no.
it's really.
Yeah, but people are constantly working, and it's a good stepping stone for sure. But it's not about, like, New York, for example. It's like all of it is a stepping stone to something else. Like, all of it is, I'm trying to get to Broadway.
Exactly.
In Chicago, it's really about the work, and I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I love it here. But the goal for me is to not be an old man in a city that has winter.
Exactly.
So I
Same.
hate traffic, but
hate-
if I had to die anywhere, it's got to be in LA. Like, it's
100%. That's where I'm feeling like somewhere West Coast is like.
Yeah.
It's like
It's-
my next move. for
yeah,
me.
it's San
Like,
Diego even,
San
like stuff like that. But it's
like,
got to be
somewhere warm.
yeah. And
Like,
Emma does not she likes seasons.
Yeah.
She likes mountains. She likes so it's going to be a hard sell, but it'll be.
I mean, even like closer to Oregon too, where they have all 4 seasons, but it's also close enough to California where you could like
go,
where
yeah,
you could just
yeah.
go,
Which
you know?
what I tolerate that too. I think.
like, you know,
I just
yeah.
know that I won't be in Florida. You will not catch
No.
me in Florida. It's muggy and it's gross. The warmth, and also there's not acting opportunities out there
No.
like that. But
Like, at
the
first
reason
I
I've
was
always
all-
thought LA is because I was like, I can do both. I can pursue an actual
Yeah.
career in
Exactly.
Hollywood,
And that's like even with
And also be
even
warm.
with everything I'm doing now, it's like building my business and like
Yeah.
being a full on production like powerhouse. It's like I have connections in
Yeah.
LA, so it's like
yeah,
being out in LA would just be like amazing.
yeah. There's so much that's
Full
cool out
on
there. There's
content
also
every
so much
single
that's
day.
awful.
Like I mean, but that's giving
But that's
flow of
everywhere.
everything everywhere.
Yeah,
though. Chicago
you're right,
has its bad places.
Yeah.
Chicago has the ebb and flow
But
of
man,
just,
I love it here.
I mean, I love it here too.
I
but-
don't, and I will put it like this: I don't think I've been in Chicago. I didn't grow up in Chicago, so I don't know as much of
See,
the
and
bad.
I didn't grow up in the city, but I grew up in Illinois, so it's
Yeah.
like I always grew up coming here.
Yeah,
so it's
so
a
you
little
know
bit
what's-
different for me, where it's
yeah.
like I love it here, but then I also know there's so much better off. There's so much better opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah,
outside of
opportunity.
Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Chicago for the fun aspect of things.
Yeah, man.
But when it comes to like real creative opportunity, there's not much.
I get that.
And then you just like you get stuck with I want
Kind
to
of running this.
I want to be here because I love it.
Yeah.
But then like I want to go be somewhere else because I know I would be better off
Yeah.
with my pursuing things,
Right.
you know. But then it's like Chicago's such a great city.
Yeah. It's great to be able to have
It is.
roots in. So I'll always be grateful for being here for however long I'm going to be here,
Yeah.
because I've really built roots here, and then that way I'll feel comfortable to move because
When
I
you
know that
leave,
my
you know,
roots will
like
be
you'll have people
Yeah.
still here.
who are still.
you know.
Yeah.
You won't have to start again somewhere else. Like,
Yeah.
You know. But
Yeah.
this was a great chat.
Yeah, man.
Is there anything you wanna give like advice?
Yeah, like-
anything else you wanna give to the people?
It
words of
covers it. I heard
wisdom?
something really, just general words of wisdom.
General
I
words
heard
of
something
wisdom.
recently that I feel like I could like adopt in my own life. Like don't take advice from married people. Don't take advice from single people. Take advice from happy people.
Exactly.
That's all around.
Exactly.
And
I like
find out what and then make sure that the people that you're taking advice from are really happy and not
really
just
happy, not
putting
just
it
putting
on.
on a facade.
Yeah,
You know?
because I find that those are, to me, man, those are the people that I enjoy being around the most. And honestly, I don't mind being around the people who are not happy either.
Right.
But there's something about the genuineness
The
of
raw,
someone who
genuine
is.
happiness of life.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. And I mean, because everybody, I get it. Like, I'm not saying don't be around people who are not happy because the world is awful and
world.
essentially going down a drain.
Exactly.
But those are the people who I ask for advice from.
Exactly.
You know, those are the people who I will hang around and we'll do what we can to make each other happy. But if
If you're looking for a
if
real,
that's what makes a
like,
person happy, like being around you, then that's it. Like that's what it is. But yeah, those are the wisdom bits that I have to impart. Other than that, man, do what makes you happy, and as long as it's not hurting anyone else, do it with everything you got.
and unapologetically too.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Cool.
All right, take care of yourself. Take care of each other, and if I don't see you again, I love you. That's.
I love that. Okay, we're gonna end with that, y'all. All right, we'll be back for another episode later on, y'all.